Okay, welcome folks. Up and running for Design 301. We'll be getting going in just a moment. Good to have you all here. Good to see you, Naya, Shauna. Ivan, go ahead and mute. Yeah, good afternoon. So keep muted except for when you always go ahead and pop in if you have questions. Then you can unmute and go. So welcome, Ivan, Shauna, Janice. Hi, good to see you. Remember, if you're in the Google Meet, please do @ with your name. That will be very cool. You can see everybody that way. So hopefully you're all ready for a nice Labor Day weekend. No school on Monday. It's kind of weird when we're all in this mode. Hopefully you'll have the stay cool thing down. It's going to be super hot again this weekend. So I'm hoping that you guys can enjoy the weekend without burning up too much. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if I've started the recording. Yes. Started recording. My apology. My mic was broken last Tuesday. I'll overdub that, but you didn't miss anything too huge and humongous. What I'd like to do today is to go over what some new material. But first, I want to make sure that you guys all know how to. Hi, Sammy. Good to see you. How to use the system here. So remember, everything is on the calendar. Now, sometimes there's not much information because I always watch and see progress before I fill everything out. But let's look and see what's up for today. New Canvas module, copy, offset, and trim. You're going to learn that using interlocking squares and woven squares. Okay, but over here, this is what's due. Somebody asked me, how do I know when things are due? Well, you look at the calendar and you see something that says due date, and you'll notice there's something due every Sunday. Now, sometimes that due date is going to say, put your stuff in here. I'm just going to check it. I'm not going to grade it. Let's look and see what it says this time. First, I'm going to look at the professionalism. Okay, so here we are with the professionalism. And Sammy, go ahead and mute your mic, except for when you have a question. It does put some weird background stuff in there. The mute is on the very lower left. Thank you. So here's a professionalism report for Sunday, September 6th. So I'm going to click on that. And it goes to here, and there's a bunch of questions. Your name. Hi, Jake. Be with you in a sec to answer some questions. What day you're turning it in for. Now, here's a cool one. Did you post? And Jake, go ahead and turn off your mic until we're ready to chat for a bit. Did you post and review at least one submittal in the discussion board? It's one of the requirements. So in the discussion board, you work peer-to-peer. You get good feedback. That's what's happening in the discussion board. I've gotten in there a little bit to get things started, but that's really for you. It's your professional development. One, to collaborate with peers, and two, just to get good ideas. A lot of times people say, well, how do I do this? I go, well, look at the discussion board. Okay, there's lots of great entries on the discussion board. And you can look at those and it gives you a clue on what to do. So before you ask me, is this right? Is that right? First, please look at the discussion board. And then if it's not obvious, sometimes it's not, then please ask me. So you're supposed to have posted a submittal and reviewed a submittal. And I've seen a lot of postings, so I think most of you have done that. But look, this goes into an Excel spreadsheet. If I see a bunch of no, then I know that you're not really doing this and you're not going to get credit. If I see a bunch of yes, and I look at my audit numbers, I can punch a button and it tells me who's submitted, how many times, and when, and all that kind of stuff. Then that becomes a false certification. So do this right. If you submitted at least one discussion this week, you can say yes. How many plates, assignments, drawings did you do this week? Those are things like what you see over here. That's a plate. That's what they call it, a drawing plate. Just something to draw. So if you've done 2 this week, or 3 this week, or 4 this week, we'll have shown you 4. So by the end of this week, I'm going to expect you've probably done 4, maybe 6, maybe 8, depending on what you're doing. But we want to make sure that you're not waiting to the last minute and then just turning in something. Okay, so how many submittal templates did you do this week? Okay, now you'll realize that I ask you to submit even if it's not due. So you're likely going to put 1 down each week. Okay? So I'm looking for you because when you put it into the Canvas one, then I look at it. Okay? So the discussion board is for you and your peers, your colleagues, to get in and look them over, talk about it, get good ideas. And then in the Canvas submittal, in the module, then you give it to me. Okay, what portion of the course is passed? We're going to be 2 weeks in. How many of the required modules have you done? Probably 1. You've done all the ones that are due, then you're doing okay. Okay, you probably haven't done any of the optional ones. That's okay. And then you just look. You go, okay, I just saw how many I've done, and I kind of know how many have been due. Am I doing okay? Yes, no. Or I need help figuring out. But I just helped you. Okay? If you've pretty much submitted everything that's due, you're doing okay. If you're kind of behind, you're not doing okay. Okay? Now, this class is a 3-unit class, and we sort of expect you to be doing 9 to 12 hours a week of work. So if you're not doing that much, you can practice more. Even if you get it done. Grab that workbook. I gave you a thing to it and do it. Or do these over and over and over again. If you, for instance, already did this one and it took you 10 minutes, then you're about 6 minutes too long for good, solid industry work. You should be able to do this in about 4 minutes in industry. So if you are taking less than 9 hours, but you've still got stuff done, do it again. Figure out a new way to do it, or a faster way to do it, or a more accurate way to do it. That's called professionalism, when you yourself try to do the best that you can do better and better and better. If you took about 9 to 12 hours, that's about what we're expecting. If you took 12 or more, there's a few things that could be happening. One, you just love this stuff and you're just doing it because you love it. That's great. Still too many hours, but that's great. If you just barely squeaked through and it took you like 14 hours, it's like, okay, that's cool. You got it done. That counts. But we're going to hope that you get a little bit faster as you go. Okay? And then if you took 12 hours and didn't get anything done, Then we have to look and see um, what our system is for helping you, because obviously you're doing a whole bunch of work and it's not being productive in all, and we need to find out a way to help you get it done. Okay? So that's what this is for. And this is all self reflection. It's for you. Okay? So that's due on Sunday. Let's see what's due here. Oh, okay. So now we see on the 6th, there's something that's due. Oh, this one says it will be graded. A late submittal will be given a 0.0 score. So on Monday, if I come to yours and there's nothing in there, you're going to see a 0. Okay, so be sure that you put something in there. And that's why last week I suggested that you submit something, because then you go, oh, I know how to do it. And the stress for this week gets a lot lower. Okay? Now, if you do a submittal and you can't tell if it's in there, email me and say, I think I submitted it. Will you check it? Because I'm worried. I will check it and I'll let you know. So here's the link to what's due. It's the link. Let's see. Workspace module for grading. So here's the module. Here's a sample, but you should have a page that shows that, a page that shows that, a page that shows that. So one for all of these things. Okay, so everything is written out right here. Jake, I will send you an email with more details. Okay? That's on my list of things to do because you specifically asked for it. I will do that. Don't worry. Okay, but it's going to look sort of, my email is going to look sort of like this. Okay? So what do you need to do then? Submit a final copy as a PDF. That's my preference. Or a DWF. Or a link to your Google presentation file. And if you use a link, be sure that it's set anyone with the link can view. If you don't know how to do that, go to the useful technical stuff and find out. We have a tutorial on it. If you watch the tutorial and still can't figure it out, then email me and I'll give you some further direction. Okay? So that's what you're going to do. Remember, the discussion board one is so that you can make comments back and forth. This is the one you're going to get graded on. So here's how I'm going to grade it. You guys probably want to know. Okay, so all of the exercises must have something that's recognizably similar. So when I look at drawing units, if you put in a picture of, I don't know, something totally different, how to press pull a 3D object, I'm not going to give you credit for that. But if you have something that sort of lets me know that you understand what drawing units are, that'll be good. There's lots of ways to do that. I'm pretty flexible in what's recognizable. Okay? And we're getting some cool background music. I don't know if you can hear it. My son's in a jazz band class right now. So that's just the way it works. And his music studio is right below me. So you'll get 4 points if I can really recognize it and it's technically accurate. Okay? And when I say with respect to size and shape, that just means that Is it the right thing? If they're all in there and most of them are pretty right, you'll get 3 points. And if they're all in there and some of them seem to have something to do with this, you'll get 2 points. And look, if you just put stuff in there and I can't figure out what you got pictures of kitty cats and dogs and ducks and spiders instead of AutoCAD, then I'm not going to give you credit. Or if it looks to me like you went to Wikipedia and you just copied some text out of Wikipedia, okay? It's got to kind of look like you were in AutoCAD or some other drawing shape thing. Cool? Any questions on that at this point? Cool. So that is what's going to be up. That's what's due. And I hope that helps. I like, last week was not a good time to go over this in depth. Today is a great time. Now, look, if one of you is having trouble and you're going, I can't get it. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. Put something in there. Email me tomorrow if you can. I'd prefer not to answer a ton of emails on Saturday and Sunday, but I get up here and look at it. If you're freaking out, send me an email that says, I'm freaking out, I need help, and I get it. I'll help you out. You won't get a you won't get a bad guy grade. Okay? But last week was the best week to do that. This week I'll still handle it. Next week? Nope. Next week you're going to need to be on the ball a little bit more. Okay? So that's what's coming up and due. Any questions on that? Okay, so let's talk then. Now we're into AutoCAD. We got plenty of time to do this. Yeah, does somebody have a question? Well, I'm not sure. Well, I think so. We'll go over that in the lab. So that's a lab question. Yep. Yeah. Okay, I'll go over that. You keep that in mind. I'll go over that in the lab. Okay, but how to change your template into a PDF. And we have a tutorial on that, but I'm going to show that to you in the lab. Okay, so at 2 o'clock, I'm going to show that to you. And I'm making a note of that right now. Cool. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you AutoCAD. Here we go. And you made a drawing already. Sort of looks like this. We used a bunch of straight lines. We said go to the home tool, draw some lines. We talked about whether the Ortho button was on, whether the polar tracking was on, certain angles, and how to draw. Okay, so now we're going to go over that again on a new drawing. This one you see over here on the left, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more now. So this one is obviously a little bit more complex, but not really. we're going to look at this drawing and see if we can figure something out. So let me make it big. And as I look at that, hold on a sec, what happened to him there? Somebody was looking to get in and now they're gone. All right, well, hopefully they'll come back. Looks like he's in now. Okay, so when I look at this, what do you guys see? Somebody tell me what shape you see here. Just type it in or pipe up. What shape do you guys see? Yeah, it says squares. That's right. And even the name of this thing is interlocking squares. So I need to learn how to make squares. But what do you see? If I look at this one right here, from this corner to this corner to this corner to this corner to this corner, I see a straight line, a straight line, a straight. Oh, but this one's got a problem with the straight line. It's broken. There's something going up past it. So they're squares, but then I have to modify the squares. I have to, like, if that had a line across it there, I'd have to trim that line out. And same with this little square on the inside. There's another square. But it's not a whole square. I got to get rid of something. And dang, it does that on every single one of these. It's almost all of a square. And then when I look at the big square in the middle, it's the same thing, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going across it. So I'm going to do something that says draw too much and then get rid of what you don't want. So I'm going to draw a bunch of squares and then I'm going to get rid of what I don't want. So what else do I notice about these squares? Anybody see something about the 4 squares? Yeah. You could. Yep. Yep. And you absolutely could do that. But I'm going to show you an even different way that gives you a tool that's probably a little bit faster and easier than that. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why. The more times I have to type a specific thing, the more times I can type it in wrong. So my personal preference is to do something and get it right, and then do what Janice just said, copy. And yes, and Athena says that I can offset. So what I'm talking about is I've got a square right here, and I think you can see my cursor going, but it's from the corners. Let's say that's the first square I draw. Well, when I read this, I can figure out how to draw it because it says that these are 2.5-inch squares. That means every side is 2.5 inch. And then it says that all of the inside squares are basically 1/2 inch away. That's called an offset. When an item is always the same dimension from another one, it's called an offset. So AutoCAD actually has a tool that lets you make a square, and it has a tool that allows you to offset. Or you can draw a bunch of lines. So I'm going to do it 2 different ways. One, I'm going to draw a bunch of lines and offset. And then the second one, I'm going to draw a square and offset. And look, once I've drawn this one, my very first one, with sides of 2.5 And my inside one that's all offset, 1/2 inch, then I can do what somebody else said, which was make a copy of it that's 1/2 inch over from the other one. 1/2 inch over from the other one. And I'm going to show you lots of things in here. So you should get your notes out and write down little notes about things that I do that you want to remember. Okay? And I just did something wrong there. I need to be up here. Here. Okay. So I'm going to close that one and I'm going to start a new drawing. And I see that my grid is on. I don't want it. Everything else looks okay. And look, everything is square. So I can use this Ortho button so that I always draw the right direction. And I'm going to just check to make sure that my units are in inches. Yep, they're all in inches. So I can do a square that's 2.5. Watch. Click anywhere. Click. See how I've got my ortho on, so it's just staying over there. And I'm just going to type 2.5. And then I make it point up, and I type 2.5. And over 2.5. And then I've got my snap set, so it's going to close itself up. So that was pretty quick. That's a cool thing. I'm going to do that another way right now. It's the rectangle command. And I just start somewhere, and down at the bottom, it asks me what I want to do. Now watch closely at the bottom and listen to what I do. First of all, I want it to start from where I'm at. I want to measure from where I'm at, where I clicked. So I have to use the at symbol. And then I use 2.5 for my horizontal, comma, 2.5 for my vertical. And hopefully those look pretty much the same. Yep, one sits right on top of the other. Now, what do you see different? If I click on this one, what happens? Somebody tell me. There I clicked on one part and something happened. Here I clicked on one part and a different thing happened. What's the difference there? Yep, that's exactly it. So when I use this cool tool, rectangle, if it's useful to me to have that all one piece, I'll use that. If it's useful to me to have them all different pieces, I'll use that. Now, you're not really going to know until you've been doing this for a while and you kind of get your own drawing style down. Like Jake had a teacher in high school that probably, while he was teaching Jake, you probably figured out a way that you liked to do it best, or your instructor, right? And so, yeah. And so Jake already kind of has his way of doing it. And that's great. I don't care which way you do it. Okay? But as you develop your own style, so is there, yes, there is a different, so Athena asks, she's essentially asking, can I make those all one thing, right? Can I make them all one thing? and that's called make it into a polyline. When I click on this one, do you see the properties way in the top? It's calling it something called a polyline. And I can make those into a polyline with the p-edit command, which we're going to go over in about a week. I'm going to do it for you, but you don't have to remember. P-edit, multiple, select the objects, join. Oh, type yes, join, no fuzz with, and now they're all one. Okay? You don't have to remember that. And now I'm going to explode it. I tell you, Autodesk lets you do so much stuff. It's incredible. Okay, so I'm going to work with this one just because I feel like it. So I'm going to erase this one. Now, remember I told you you can pick on things individually? But I'm telling you, if things are really close together or you have a lot of them, that's kind of a pain. There's lots of ways to select. I'm going to be up here to the left, click. And I just clicked once. I've let go of the button with my left. And I'm drawing my mouse. And it found everything inside that window. Here, you see, it only picks what's inside the window all the way. Can you see that it only has the left part? Here it only has the top part. Now it's got all of it. Click. I just selected all of them. Okay? If I click on the bottom and let go and run up, it clicks anything that my box touches. So here I can get 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces. Click. Gets them all. There's another way if I hold it down, that those of you who know Illustrator or something, it gets same thing. Instead of making a square box, it lets me do a lasso. But it does the same thing. If I go clockwise, I have to get everything. I hate that one, but it can be useful. If I go counterclockwise, I think there it goes. It's everything I touch. I got rid of it. So I'm going to start with this. So I've got that. So remember, my next thing is I want a box that is everywhere, a ½ inch away. So there's this modify ribbon here with lots of stuff on it, but the one I want is right there, offset. I'm a typer. I can click on that, but I'm a typer. I just typed OF and offset came up, so I'll click on it. And you see how it shows you a lot about the command. Click. And then I'm reading my command line. This thing down here at the bottom is called the command line. It tells you what to do. It says specify the offset distance or say through. Okay, I know the distance. I'll just type 0.5. And then the enter command key lets it say, okay, enter it. And then it says pick the object. So I'm going to select this object. And then depending on which side I move my cursor to, it offsets in that direction. And I wanted it to go inward. So now there's no guessing. It's right. It's exact. I didn't have to fake it. I didn't have to measure over and do this. Now, there are so many ways I could have gone about drawing this. But this is the one I wanted to show you because I get to show you this cool tool called offset. Okay? Now, I just did something good. Somebody tell me what I should do. Quick save. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Yeah, save. So I'll say save, and I'm going to call it, what is this one called? Woven squares. Yeah. Oh, this one's interlocking squares. There we go. Okay, so I just got it done. So now I got to do, I want another one of those, right? If I look at this, if I were to take that little shape I just drew and move it so that this corner here was over here, then I'd have that one done. And that, so how far away is it? How far would I move it? I'd move it 2.5 and then another half. So I would either do arithmetic in my head, which is 3 inches, or I would just look at it and I would put the corner right here, and then I'd move it another half. I tell you, I'm an engineer, but I learned early in my career that if I could do it visually, the fewer times I type numbers in, the less often I fumble and make a mistake. Now that's really up to you. I know people that never make a mistake when they're typing. And they go, what are you taking so long for? Just look at it and their brain goes, 3 inches, duh. And they just move it over 3 inches, copy it. I'm not that way. I'm going to show you the way I do it, and you're perfectly welcome to do it a different way. Okay? So you're welcome, welcome, welcome to use this command. I'm going to show you in another way. But I want to make a copy of this. Now, this is one of the few commands that AutoCAD does not care which order you do things in. I can select my object and then tell it to copy, or I can tell it to copy and then select my objects. So it won't care. But I'm going to do it that way. So I can come up here and find the copy button. It's in my modify stuff, and it shows a little picture of one thing becoming two. Or I can come down to my command line and just start saying copy. There it is. Copy. And then my command line down at the bottom is telling me to select the object. I can go click, click. I can highlight. Once I got my parts, it's still asking me, do you want more? Do you want more? Do you want more? I have to hit enter to stop selecting. And then it tells me, specify the base point. Okay, I have to tell it, where do you want to start? I want to take this corner point right here and go in this direction. And remember I said I was going to put it on the corner. Click. And then when I'm done, I have to do enter because I could do it over and over and over. Well, now it's not in quite the right place. What do I need to do now? I need to move it. So now I get to show you another command. Move. Move the object. So I'll say move my object, and I remember it said move that this direction. So I'm letting my cursor tell it the direction, 0.5. And I got it. What do you think for the next two pieces? I have 2 more squares to make, right? So I'm going to go over that whole process again. I'm going to copy, move up, copy up, and then I'm going to move those up. And then I'm going to type 0.5. There we go. Got it. And I just did something good. What do? Save. Cool. Now I've got another one, and I'm going to show you something really interesting now. This is a way that we do things. I need another square. I don't have to put it right in place yet. If I do, it gets kind of jumbled up and garbly. So I'm going to make another square. How big is that one? Somebody tell me how big is my big center square. Here's where it says right here. Yep, 3.5. So I'm going to do that rectangle thing. And remember, I use the at symbol where I'm at, 3.5, comma, 3.5. Now I got to tell you, remember that dynamic thing down here? Everything I do is with the dynamic off. It doesn't quite work that way if your dynamic is on. And then I'm going to offset. It says 0.5 again. It already tells me it's set for 0.5. So I'm going to enter, click, click. Now I got to get this in the right place. It says this bottom corner should be 1 inch over and 1 inch up. So here's how I do it. I draw a line over 1 and up 1. And I go move that to that spot. I'm a visual drawer when I can be. Now, do I have too much? Yeah. This line doesn't belong there anymore, right? I drew too much. I'm going to get rid of it. I drew too much. I'm going to get rid of it. But I'll tell you, the erase or delete function is so fast. Ha ha! Well, it is one of the things that goes in your thing. Okay, I just did something cool. What do? Save. And now I'm almost there. But I have to look at it closely now. And I have to do a comparison. And this is where you get buggy-eyed. And you just got to get good at this. Okay? I see over on my drawing over here that I have a straight run through at the bottom part of the top left square. And over here, I see that there's stuff in the way. And I don't remember who it was that told me I could have just drawn my line from here to here and then moved over a half and drawn to here to here. But I'd have to do that so often that I'll tell you, I'm very prone to mistakes. And I make fewer mistakes this way. This is all, what I'm showing you here is all personal preference. But it's also a way that I get to show you a ton of cool tools that sometimes you just do have to use. Okay? I actually don't care how you get this drawing done for real when you put it in your portfolio, so long as it's right. Okay, so here we go. I need to get rid of, I'm going to zoom in, and somebody's got their, Jake, go ahead and turn your mic off because I'm getting a little bit of feedback right now. Cool, thank you. So I need to get rid of this little part of the line and this little part of the line. And what they do is they call that trimming in between these two lines. So I want to take that line and I want to trim it. I want to take a pair of scissors and trim it here and here. And I want to do the same thing with this. And I'm going to do these one at a time But then I'm going to show you how you can kind of do it all at once. Okay, so these little trimming shears, that's trim. Or I can type TR, oops, I hit in the wrong. I can type TR and trim comes up. And it says select the objects. And this is really weird. It's what do you want to trim between? Isn't that weird? It says select the cutting edges. I'm going to cut between that line and that line, the lines of my outside square. And then I can hit enter. And this is really cool. Anytime I touch anything between those two, they go away. And I can click, click, and when I'm done, enter. Oh, that's so cool. So now let me come up to this one, and I see that it's this little piece and this little piece that goes away between this piece and this piece. Okay, so here I go. Trim between the two of the big, enter. Now this time I'm going to select two at once. Click. I got just a little bit faster. Did I do the right ones? Oh, I needed one more. I needed that one too. Trim between here and here. Up and over. Up and... No, that was correct before. Never mind. Control Z. I had it right. Okay, now I want to do all the things around this square. So this time I'm going to do the trim command, and I'm just going to pick all that stuff. I'm going to pick all that stuff. And I'm going to hit enter. And now I know above and then I'm trying to be as careful as I can because I don't want to get it wrong. There. 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 I think I'm done. Save. I think I got it right. Okay. Everybody good with that one? All right, now I'm going to give you a really quick demo on the next one. It's the same process, but I'm not going to draw squares. If you can figure out how to do that, it's great. I'm going to draw lines using offset, and then I'm going to do trim. So save. So I'm going to start a new one. I'm going to get rid of this. And look, this says if I draw a line 4.18 to the side, if I draw a line 4.18 to the side, and I draw 4.18 up, and then I offset those each 0.38 inches. If you do some arithmetic, every one of these steps is 0.38. So that becomes my offset. Okay, so here I go. Draw a line. Put my ortho on. 4.18. And then it's going to offset 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. Or I can draw up 4.18. And I can use copy or offset, but I'll use offset of 0.38. Oh, I did 3.8. Shame on me. See how I'm just a terrible typer. 0.38. Now there's another command called array that we're going to do later on that makes this super fast and easy. But I'm not showing that to you right now. Athena asks, can you type the coordinates with the move tool? Yes, but you don't use the at symbol then. You just use the coordinates. Offset, the same amount. So you're going to be really good at copy, offset, move, trim by the time you're done with this. Yep. Click, move my cursor in the direction I want it to go. Click. Click, move in the direction, click. And what did I just do? I did something good. Save. This one's called woven squares. Now let's see about doing this upper little portion over here. It looks like 1, 2, 3 across, and then a break. So I'm going to trim. Didn't work. I'll trim those. Enter 1, 2, 3 across, and then a break. And then down 1 and a break. And then 1, 2, 3 over and a break. And 1 over and a break. See how I'm starting to make this square that's over here? Now I got to clear all this stuff that would be. There are other geometrical ways to do this, but this is the one that I do. Trim all those objects, and I'm going to trim those, those. And that's pretty close. I think I got that. And then it's up to you to decide whether you want to go over to the next one or go down to the next one. Can get that going pretty well. Save. So that's my quick demo on that one. So what did we do? We talked about drawing lines. We talked about drawing rectangles. We talked about offset. We talked about copy. And we talked about move. And we talked about trim. So that's a pretty big chunk of stuff, right? But they're the guts of AutoCAD. Once you got those ones down, you can sort of draw in almost any program. So we'll just kind of focus on these mostly for the next few days. Okay. Interlocking squares, woven squares, copy, offset, trim. Here's the key to this style of drawing. Sometimes it's much quicker and easier, especially if your information is given to you that way, to draw too much and then get rid of the extra stuff. Can you imagine trying to draw 1.4 and then 0.76 and then 0.38, 0.76, 1.5? You could probably do that. And if you're a programmer, you could program it to do it. But I think that what I do is sufficient. Okay, so before labs, any questions on the whole? Okay, then I'm gonna demonstrate Athena's question because I think it's a really good question. Let's say I wanted to take all this and move it to 0, 0, the origin. I drew it somewhere, but I'm gonna put this on another drawing and it's gonna have to import, or I'm gonna use a machine tool. I want to move all of this so that this point right here is at 0, 0. Let's find out where it is. If I type ID of that point, it tells me down here, it tells me it's at X 15 point blah, 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 Y blah, 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 Z blah, blah, blah. So it's not at 0, 0. So I'm going to move. I'm a typer. I type in move, and the move command comes up. And I'm going to select my objects, enter, and now I'm going to put it here. And instead of saying at, I'm just going to tell it go to 0, 0. And it went to 0, 0. So if I do ID of that point again, it says it's at 0, 0, 0. So Athena, does that sort of answer the question that you were looking for? Cool. That's a super important thing when you coordinate your work with the work of other people or machine tools or other jobs or things like that. And we'll get into that more later on. But I think that was a very good question at this time to be able to go over. You don't have to know that. You don't have to remember that. But in some point in the future when we talk about it, you'll go, oh yeah, I remember it exists. So now I'm going to save this one again. Okay, I'm going to take a break until 1:10, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm first going to answer Jake's question about how do you make a PDF of your work. Okay, so I'm gonna do that at 1:10, and then I'm gonna start taking questions. So if you want to put your questions into the chat line, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hang up to clear the chat line, and then you can start putting questions in, and I'll answer them starting at 1:10 in the order that you put your questions in the chat line, right? But I'm gonna start with Jake's, whether he gets his in there or not. Okay, so there we go. I'll be back in just a little while.